Why do the scrolls of destiny favor the few, leaving many to merely dream of riches in the dust of inaction? An ancient truth has been revealed. The greatest obstacle barring your path to abundance lies not in talent or opportunity, but within the labyrinth of your own endless thoughts. This is the trap of overthinking, a modern malady that prevents countless souls from touching true wealth. The snare of hesitation, an ancient curse. Many harbor different plans to get rich, but why do only a select few manage to realize those dreams? The sage Schwartz spoke of the paradox of choice, a great and terrible sea of options that can drown the will and lead to the paralysis of action. When faced with too many choices, people often fall into the trap of thinking too much. Worrying about making the wrong decision leads to delaying action and giving up entirely. Scribes of commerce, too, have noted in their ledgers that a mind cluttered with calculation grows heavy and the feet refuse to walk. Consider the tale of the humble tofu seller. Earning little, he often thought of changing his trade. Every day, he had to wake early, busying himself in his small old shop, making tofu while welcoming a ceaseless stream of customers. Each night, he would sit, weary, in his dimly lit kitchen, pondering various plans. He once thought of selling his tofu shop to buy a donkey, transport salt, and gradually build a great caravan. But when he imagined the hardships he might face, he abandoned the idea. This internal battle repeated itself daily. In the end, he continued to sell tofu, and his life did not change. Every night, he would map out a future, selling the shop, buying the donkey, expanding the business. But then he would think, what if raising the donkey fails? What if the transport business does not prosper? Every night, he tossed and turned in thought. Yet the next morning, he sold tofu as usual. His whole life, he remained a tofu seller, living in a deadlock with no way out. A wise merchant once said, "Always looking to the future without taking action is a disease most of the poor find difficult to cure." No matter how well planned, if not done, it will be in vain. No matter how beautiful the dream of getting rich is, if not realized now, it is just a vain hope. The reason a person cannot get rich lies in thinking too much, but doing too little. The power of action, the forgotten path. Listen to the story of two cousins who both saw potential in the shoe industry and decided to open their own factories. The elder brother declared he would act immediately. He hired workers and craftsmen. He bought machinery and raw materials. In less than half a month, he brought his product to market, personally supervising every detail on the production line to ensure each pair of shoes met the standards of quality the market demanded. Meanwhile, the younger brother lost himself in research, consulting experts, and worrying about competition. He even made a detailed list of risks, but this repetitive thinking ultimately missed the golden opportunity to test the market. He was always worried. There are too many shoe factories. How can I compete? If I fail, what will I use to cover the loss? He thought and thought non-stop, while his brother's business grew and flourished. In the end, the younger brother remained standing still, with nothing changed. Prominent economists all say that what truly prevents you from getting rich is not intelligence or ability, but thinking too much. Studies in behavioral economics show that a bias for action is a critical factor in human decisions. People often overestimate the risks of acting and underestimate the cost of inaction. The sunk cost effect in psychology also explains why people are prone to overthinking. The time and effort already invested make it difficult to let go, leading to a state of perpetual hesitation. Data also shows that successful people focus on the power of execution rather than a perfect plan. In reality, many people are like this. Opportunities are clearly in front of them, yet they keep looking forward and backward, thinking themselves weak, worrying about how others see them, afraid of failure, afraid of risk. The result is just like the old saying, to dream of 1,000 bright paths by night, only to walk the same old road by morning. How many plans, if not carried out into concrete action, amount to nothing but zero? A writer once confessed his life's deepest regret. When he was 24, still a reporter, he attended an industry conference where a man approached him asking if he wanted to be the secretary for the general director of a famous company. He thought and thought, wondering if he was tall enough, if his foreign language skills were too limited, if his personality was unsuitable, if his major was wrong. The more he thought, the more he doubted himself. The man seemed confused, wondering why he thought so much, and offered him the chance 3 or 4 times. This conversation made him reconsider his career. The man detailed the company's prospects and the job's responsibilities. Yet, in his mind, he continued to worry about his height, his language ability, his personality. In the end, his hesitation cost him the opportunity. Many years later, recalling that experience, he couldn't help but feel regret. The real obstacle that prevented him from moving forward was the doubt in his own heart. He didn't go to that company and ultimately missed this life-changing opportunity. The Japanese writer Matsura Mitaro once said that the poor are often trapped in anxiety and insecurity, suffering from the disease of overthinking. Overthinking not only wastes time and energy, but also weakens one's determination and will to act. Mental fatigue is the greatest enemy in work and life. When you fall into a state of hesitation, you can only let opportunities slip away, pushing wealth further and further out of reach. A business consultant once said that the gap between thought and result is action. It is this gap that creates the difference between the rich and the poor. The process of getting rich is essentially the process of eliminating unnecessary thoughts and turning ideas into reality. The Awakening, from thought to deed. The writer Pham Hai Dao told of his experience at age 30. He worked in a small company with a low salary. To change his life, he decided to study abroad to improve himself. From the moment he made the plan, his mind was filled with worries. Was giving up his current job worth it? He discussed the plan with friends who gave him conflicting advice. Some encouraged him to pursue his dream. Others advised him to live a stable life. His parents worried if he could adapt to life abroad, and the family's finances were tight. But a single phrase from his teacher struck him like a temple gong. To ponder 10,000 times is no match for trying once. At least you won't regret it. This saying became his motivation. Is 30 too late to study abroad? He wondered, then worried about his mother's health. Finally, he went to his university teacher, who repeated that profound saying. Thanks to that, he found his resolve and began studying for his exams immediately. He successfully passed the GRE, was accepted to Columbia University, and earned a master's degree in oral history. Upon returning to England, he established an office and published a series of works, becoming a best-selling author. Recalling this, Pham Hai Dao said what he was most grateful for was that he dared to act at that time. A master of thought once decreed, "Life always presents us with awkward choices. If you are hesitating between doing and not doing, don't think too much, just act immediately." In the Bible, a symbolic story tells of the slaves on their way to the Holy Land, stopped by the Dead Sea. The sea was red and churning. Dark clouds loomed. The scene seemed impassable. But when Moses took the first step onto the water, the sky cleared and the sea parted, opening a wide path for everyone to pass. Life is often like this. When you hesitate, you see only thorns. But when you start walking, you will find the path of life becomes clear. On the road to wealth, there will never be a perfect plan or a perfect opportunity. Instead of imagining difficulties and staying in place, put action first. To overcome the problem of overthinking, make a specific action plan. Set a small goal for each day to progress step by step. Use time management tools, focusing on one task for 25 minutes, then taking a 5-minute break. Build a network of like-minded friends or colleagues to monitor and encourage one another. This not only improves your ability to act, but also increases your chances of success. The path not taken, the deed not done. Action is the key that unlocks the door to wealth. Only when you begin to do will the future you desire come to you. Forging the will, the power beyond doubt. Fortune magazine once surveyed 500 leading businesses and concluded that business success is 5% strategy and 95% execution. The same is true for individuals. Most of the legends in this world were ordinary people. They simply turned their thoughts into actions. Wealth, too, favors those who say and do. When he first entered the automotive industry, Henry Ford noticed most cars use steam engines. While many sought to improve the steam engine, Ford, though just a junior employee, asked a different question. Could a car run on gasoline? When he shared his idea, many shook their heads, questioning its practicality, its cost, the risk of failure. But Ford did not overthink. He immediately set a goal to change the driving force of cars. He studied mechanics at the factory and used his free time to research the fuel engine. Through his efforts, he built a working prototype and created the first gasoline-powered car at only 29 years old. It was this ability to act without hesitation that allowed Ford to make his breakthrough and become the king of American cars. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." This emphasizes the importance of action. Don't get lost in dreams and plans. Elon Musk also once said, "No matter how great an idea is, out of billions of people, thousands have thought of it. You can only get ahead if you turn ideas into immediate action. Anything that remains just a thought will never yield a result. Let me think more about it. Become, I will do it right now. Do it first, then perfect it later." This is the foundation of wealth. Every minute of early action is another minute closer to the life you dream of. The family environment, a garden or a desert. The family is also a school, and the interactions between its members profoundly influence each person's development. Research shows that a positive family environment can significantly improve a child's ability to act and their self-confidence. The actions and words of parents have a silent influence on children. Good communication and positive support will nurture a child's spirit of adventure and implementation. Two MIT economics professors, Abhijit and Esther, surveyed 18 of the world's poorest areas. They discovered interesting things, such as poor families who, despite not having enough to eat, would still buy a television. Their houses were cluttered. Communication between family members was often filled with arguments and harsh words. In their book, Poor Economics, they state that poverty is not just a material condition, but also a state of mind. If a family is full of garbage, that family will never become rich. The Atlantic once published an article about consumption. When goods become plentiful, a phenomenon occurs. The low-income group often spends money on unnecessary things like handbags, clothes, and electronics, while the high-income group invests in more valuable assets like sports, books, and knowledge courses. The article concluded that in this material age, a person's wealth is determined not only by their ability to earn money, but also by how they spend it. For ordinary people, every penny saved is capital for future opportunities. If you only know how to shop, your house will fill with useless things, and you will gradually become poor. I know a couple, both salaried employees with a modest income. With careful planning, they could have saved a little each month, but they never made a spending plan and were always paying off credit card debt. The husband saw his colleagues buy new cars and rushed to do the same. The wife returned from every shopping trip with bags big and small. Their shoe cabinet was filled with dozens of pairs, the shelves overflowing with handbags. I once gently advised them, "You need to know when to spend and when to save, or you will struggle to cope when a crisis hits." But they didn't listen. At the end of the year, the husband was laid off, and his parents fell ill. The medical costs made them wise up. During that time, they could only lament their lack of savings. When we are possessed by material things, they in turn occupy our time, money, and energy. Reducing spending to improve one's life is the most necessary skill for an ordinary person to overcome their financial limits. In the book Little Fires Everywhere, the character Elena is constantly scolding her family for small things. In one scene, while preparing dinner, she asks for help. Her husband and son are engrossed in a game, and only her daughter comes to help. Instead of praising her, she scolds her for doing so little, which hurts the daughter and starts an argument. This escalates until the entire family is in discord. If a family is not united, it is difficult to be prosperous. To advance, you must first eliminate emotional waste. In contrast, there is a fishbowl shop that is always crowded. Observing them, I realized the family members all bring emotional value to each other. When a bowl almost breaks, the boss immediately admits his mistake, while the owner blames its placement, and the 70-year-old mother joins in to admit her own fault for not being able to help. Because of this harmony, their business thrives. Sometimes a family is poor because of internal consumption. If members agree to criticize less and encourage more, the family will become more and more prosperous. I once saw someone share that a poor family is like a desert. He said his mother gossiped all day, bad-mouthing others, until he thought that was all life was. His father always cursed, and he too grew accustomed to swearing. In stark contrast, I remember a little girl named Mimi. On the way home from school, her father would ask her in English about the situation in Russia and Ukraine. Though a difficult question even for adults, Mimi would answer fluently, expressing sympathy for those suffering from war and comparing the current situation to stories from Romance of the Three Kingdoms. People admired not only her knowledge, but also the vision and wisdom cultivated by her father. While other families are busy with trivial matters, Mimi and her father are discussing valuable issues. I strongly agree with the view that the family is a place of cultivation, where all members are both teachers and students. If a family only produces informational waste, its members will not progress. There is a concept that a dirty house cannot gather blessings. If your family is full of material waste, emotional waste, and informational waste, luck and fortune will sadly leave you. A family that wants to advance must first clean up these types of waste. The Tale of Two Monks, a timeless lesson. When I was young, I studied a text called The Story of Two Monks. It tells of two monks, one poor and one rich. Both dreamed of making a pilgrimage to the South Sea, but their choices and actions led to two entirely different fates. The rich monk, worried that the ocean waves were too big and the journey too far, always hesitated. Day after day, he thought of all the difficulties and risks that could happen. Will there be a storm? How many supplies must I prepare? These worries made him afraid to take a single step. He was forever immersed in anxieties about the future. The poor monk was completely different. He did not have many worries. With only a water bottle and a staff, he resolutely set out. Along the way, he encountered wind and rain and experienced hardships, but nothing could stop him. He believed that as long as he started to act, every difficulty would have a solution. With steadfast faith and will, the poor monk successfully reached the South Sea and returned safely. He not only fulfilled his wish, but also brought back profound experiences. Meanwhile, the rich monk was still immersed in his thoughts, unable to step away from his starting point. Though he had far better material conditions, it was his excessive worry and hesitation that pushed him further and further from his dream. The greatest difference between them was not external conditions, but their internal will and ability to act. Everything in life originates from thought and requires action. Those who just stand still and dream will forever be held back by difficulties, while those who dare to act will be the ones who truly change their fate. This story reminds us that to achieve our goals, dreams, and plans are not enough. We need action. Think less, dare to challenge yourself, and act more. Only then can we use our own hands to open the door to success. No matter how many difficulties we face, as long as we are brave and determined to act, the path to success will open at your feet. I hope that you and I will hesitate less and act more. courageously taking those first steps to welcome a richer, more successful future. As you begin this walk, know you are not alone. Here at Ancient Wisdom Unlocked, we journey alongside you. If these timeless truths resonate within your soul, like this message to affirm your first step. Share it with others who may be lost in the labyrinth of their own thoughts. And follow our channel so we may continue to unlock the wisdom that leads to a prosperous life together. I wish everyone on the path to realizing their dreams to always move forward and to never stop trying.